Justin Bieber and Hailey Bieber were both at Kendall Jenner's birthday celebration, but the energy in the room told two very different stories. Justin is front and center, singing, laughing, surrounded, the camera naturally drawn to him. Hailey appears just outside that spotlight, stepping forward, stepping back, almost blending into the background as everyone's attention stays on Justin. No arguments, no drama, just a noticeable difference in presence. And that single detail is what has everyone replaying the clip. Not to judge, not to guess, but because moments like this say so much without a single word being spoken. Justin stands in the center like the room was built around him. Music going, people dancing, phones raised. That easy, confident glow he gets when he's completely in his element. Cameras don't even have to find him. They gravitate toward him. And right there, barely in the corner, Hailey moves in and out of the frame. Not dramatic, not forced, just noticeably separate. I caught how she leans in, hand brushing forward like she's about to step next to him, but the circle doesn't open. The laughter stays around Justin. The rhythm stays around Justin. The moment belongs to him. Hailey doesn't look upset. Her expression is soft, normal, but the space between them feels louder than any argument would. It's the kind of thing you only notice when you watch the clip twice. She smiles, tucks her hair, takes another tiny step forward, and the camera pans right past her again. Some fans described the moment as the camera choosing its own center, pointing out that the attention in the room naturally leaned toward Justin without anyone forcing it. Another comment that gained traction said Hailey kept trying to match the energy, but she felt like a background character in her own moment. These reactions weren't attacking either of them. They were reacting to how different levels of presence can read on screen. It's not a scandal. It's not a blow-up. It's a micro moment. The kind that says everything without saying anything. And I get why it has everyone analyzing the angle, the spacing, the body language. Sometimes silence is the part people replay the most. The party was supposed to be about Kendall, her milestone, her circle, her moment. The island setting was effortless. Soft lighting, ocean air, people laughing like they had nowhere else to be. But when Justin and Hailey leaned into each other in the center of the crowd, the atmosphere shifted just enough to be noticeable. Their closeness didn't feel spontaneous. It felt positioned, a gesture placed right where the cameras were already pointed. Justin looked relaxed, moving with the music like the night belonged to him. Hailey matched him, but not in rhythm, in visibility. I noticed how each touch, each lean, each shared glance seemed timed, almost as if the moment was being curated rather than lived. It didn't read as romance. It read as presentation. And while Kendall laughed with her friends just a few steps away, the attention wasn't following her. The conversation, the camera lenses, the crowd focus, all pivoted subtly toward Justin and Hailey, not because they tried loudly, but because the PDA sat in the room like a headline waiting to be screen recorded. The birthday was still happening. The celebration was still joyful. But the spotlight had quietly shifted. And I don't think it shifted by accident. Some viewers said the PDA felt like a scene, not a moment, pointing out how every movement seemed to acknowledge the cameras rather than the celebration. Another comment that spread quickly read, Kendall had a birthday, but Justin and Hailey had a performance. That observation didn't blame either of them. It simply highlighted how attention can shift when presence feels choreographed rather than natural. And that contrast didn't end with the party. Even surrounded by friends, even in a circle that looks tight from the outside, the energy around Hailey still felt slightly unaligned. Kendall and Kylie were right there. Same island, same music, same moments, but the togetherness looked more like proximity than connection. Everyone smiling, everyone posting, everyone in the same frame, yet the atmosphere didn't feel shared. I kept noticing how each person seemed in their own separate space, even while standing shoulder to shoulder. Meanwhile, somewhere else entirely, Selena wasn't out, wasn't photographed, wasn't performing closeness for cameras. Her circle, Taylor, Gigi, didn't need to be seen to be felt. They aren't together every week. They don't need matching selfies or coordinated nights out. Their friendship shows up in the quiet ways. Support that doesn't need an audience. Loyalty that doesn't need proof. Distance doesn't weaken their bond. It makes it look stronger, steadier, lived in. It's the difference between being with people and being held by people. Hailey had the crowd, the scenery, the moment. But Selena has the kind of friendships that don't disappear when the camera turns away. And I think that's where the contrast becomes impossible to ignore. Some viewers worded it simply, Selena's friendships feel like home. Hailey's look like a room she's still trying to fit into. It wasn't said as shade, just as observation. Another comment that echoed across the timeline noted one group shows loyalty in private, the other performs closeness in public. The comparison wasn't about who's right or wrong. It was about how different a connection can look when it's built on being seen versus being understood. Kendall's birthday was designed to feel effortless. The kind of celebration where the setting does the talking. The island, the ocean, the long dinners under warm lights. Everyone dressed in neutrals that looked like they belonged there. But beneath the beauty, there was a certain tension that didn't need to be spoken. Circles were forming, not in conflict but in clarity. Who gravitated to whom? Who stayed together? Who drifted just slightly apart? I noticed how people separated into small pockets. Conversations happening in quiet clusters rather than all as one. Kendall floated between groups with ease. Her presence calm, almost detached, like she was enjoying the moment without needing to hold it. Kylie stayed close, familiar, automatic. Hailey moved softly through the night, present but not anchored. Every time the music shifted or the crowd reshaped, she was adjusting, finding where to stand, who to stand near. It wasn't loud. It wasn't dramatic, just visible if you watched long enough. Meanwhile, Justin didn't have to find his place at all. The space formed around him not intentionally, just naturally. And I think that difference is what made the night feel less like a shared celebration and more like parallel experiences happening in the same room. Some viewers described the atmosphere as everyone together but everyone separate, pointing out that the celebration looked more like multiple small gatherings than one united group. Another comment that gained attention read, Justin felt grounded. Hailey felt like she was still searching for a place to land. Not criticism, just observation of how energy moves differently through the same space. By the time clips from the night started circulating, the narrative had already written itself. The celebration wasn't remembered for Kendall's speeches, the ocean view, or even the fireworks. It was remembered for the moment the spotlight shifted, and it didn't shift loudly. It moved quietly, like something that was meant to be noticed without being announced. I kept seeing the same thing in each angle, Justin existing in the center and Hailey making sure she was beside that center, even if the moment didn't naturally invite her there. It wasn't obvious in real time. It only became clear once the footage slowed down, replayed, clipped, and shared. A hand placed a little too carefully. A laugh held a little too long. Movements matching Justin's instead of the rhythm of the room. It didn't feel romantic. It felt rehearsed, like something that needed to be seen to prove itself rather than something that simply was. Meanwhile, Kendall was right there, the reason everyone had flown out, dressed up, shown up. But the spotlight didn't stay with her, and I think that's what left the strongest imprint. Not tension, not conflict, just the quiet realization that not everyone in the room was celebrating the same thing. Some viewers summed it up simply, the moment looked curated, not shared. They weren't criticizing affection, just noticing how the energy felt positioned instead of natural. Another comment put it more sharply, Kendall hosted the party, but Justin and Hailey hosted the attention. The night didn't divide the group. It just revealed where the spotlight naturally chooses to land. So here we are. One birthday, one clip, and a handful of quiet moments that said more than any statement ever could. Spotlight, presence, friendship, alignment, each chapter revealing how different energies can share the same room and still feel worlds apart. What stood out most wasn't conflict but contrast, the kind you can't unsee once you've seen it. Now the story isn't in the footage, it's in how you read the room. So tell me this, if you had been there watching it unfold in real time, who would the spotlight have followed?